All of the selections made during Setup Assistant on a Mac can be changed later in System Settings. Many settings only affect the current logged-in user. However, other settings affecting the security of the device require administrator credentials. In addition to the built-in security of system settings, Jamf Pro can enforce many of those settings and even prevent users from viewing them. This is Jeremy. Let's explore the System Settings app and how we can use Jamf Pro to manage it. macOS Ventura introduced System Settings as a redesigned version of what was previously known as System Preferences. The sidebar contains all settings grouped into panes. Some panes have an additional layer of security built in, like the Passwords pane requiring the current user's password to access it. Others, like Users and Groups, require administrator credentials in order to unlock and make changes to some settings. Notice when I click Add Account, a password dialog appears asking for administrator credentials. The same goes for the ability to enable the guest user and delete users. These settings are important when it comes to security, as we probably don't want standard users to have the ability to create a new administrator user. However, administrators can also be prevented from viewing panes and changing settings if the Mac is managed with Jamf Pro. More on that later in this video. Another pane that includes some locked settings is the Privacy and Security pane. Changing location services settings, full disk access, Gatekeeper, FileVault, and Lockdown mode all require an administrator to unlock them. We'll talk more about Gatekeeper in the next lesson, so let's move to FileVault. As stated in FileVault settings, turning on FileVault secures the data on your disk by encrypting its contents automatically. This means even if somebody gains physical access to your device and boots to an external disk, only a FileVault-enabled user would be able to unlock the encrypted volume. In addition to FileVault-enabled users, a recovery key that gets generated when FileVault is first turned on can also unlock the disk. When turning on FileVault, a dialog appears with the option to allow their iCloud account to unlock the disk or create a recovery key. If a recovery key is chosen, it appears on screen with a note to store it in a safe place. But how many people actually follow these instructions? It may just end up on a sticky note somewhere near the computer, which is certainly not secure. If managed with Jamf Pro, computers can have FileVault enforced and prevent administrators from turning it off. The recovery keys can also be redirected and stored securely in Jamf Pro without ever being displayed to users. More on this in just a bit. Clicking the Advanced button at the bottom of the Privacy and Security pane presents a couple more security options. Requiring an administrator password to access system-wide settings adds another layer of security. This requires administrator users to re-authenticate when changing some settings. These settings include Firewall, Sharing, Time Machine, Startup Disk, and Energy Saver. Let's take a look at Jamf Pro to see how we can manage system settings. Navigate to Computers and Configuration Profiles, and click New. Scroll down in the list of payloads and select Restrictions, then click Configure. Select the checkbox to restrict items, and we have the option to enable or disable selected items. I'm selecting Disable and the Users and Groups checkbox. This prevents all users, including administrators, from viewing the Users and Groups pane in System Settings. There are many more restrictions in the tabs across the top, so be sure to explore these settings before deploying a configuration profile with this payload configured. As soon as the configuration profile is installed on a managed computer, the restrictions take effect and I'm unable to see any settings in Users and Groups. However, it's important to note this doesn't stop an administrator from creating a new user with the command line interface and terminal. Now let's see how Jamf Pro can manage FileVault. Back in Configuration Profiles for Computers, click New. Scroll down in the list of payloads and select Security and Privacy, then FileVault. Click the switch to enable FileVault and some additional settings are turned on. We have the option to enable FileVault at the next logout or login and require users to enable it. I'm selecting at logout. Another important setting is escrow personal recovery key. With this turned on, the personal recovery key that gets created is reported to Jamf Pro without ever being displayed to the user. The only thing they'll see is the escrow location description, an identifier for users to see where the recovery key has been sent. I'm just entering Jamf Training. Once this configuration profile is installed on a managed computer, a user does need to log out, restart, or shut down before FileVault is enabled. After it's enabled, the button to turn off FileVault is dimmed, and even administrator users aren't able to turn it off. Back in Jamf Pro, if we look at this computer's inventory record after an inventory update, FileVault information can be viewed by selecting Disk Encryption. If ever needed, the personal recovery key can be viewed by clicking the Show Key button, but is otherwise always kept out of sight, encrypted in the Jamf Pro database and only decrypted when viewed this way. We can even see who has viewed a recovery key and when they viewed it in the audit logs in the History tab. With the ability to enforce settings and even hide settings from users, Jamf Pro gives you the ability to ensure Macs adhere to your company's security policies. That's all for this lesson on system settings. Be sure to continue learning in the next lesson on the layers of defense built into macOS. Thanks for watching.